The envelope fell from between the pages of Ethan's old leather planner, scattering receipts across my kitchen floor like autumn leaves. I wouldn't have even opened that dusty thing if I hadn't been searching for our daughter Lily's old immunization records for college. Funny how life's biggest revelations often come when you're looking for something else entirely. My name is Maddie, and until 5 minutes ago, I thought I was doing a pretty good job of co-parenting with my ex-husband. Now I'm staring at receipts for Gucci loafers and 5-star restaurants, dated just weeks after Ethan told me he couldn't afford his half of Lily's college deposit. Mom! Lily's voice floated down from upstairs. Did you find them yet? Still looking, honey. I called back, my hands shaking as I gathered the papers. The amounts jumped out at me. $895 at La Maison. $1,200 at the Grand Hotel. A $3,500 charge at Tiffany & Company, all while he'd been crying poverty about our daughter's education. My phone buzzed. Speaking of the devil, a text from Ethan. Hey Mads, any luck with those records? Lily needs them by Friday. I stared at his message, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. The old Maddie would have responded immediately, maintaining the careful peace we'd built since our divorce 3 years ago. Instead, I set the phone down and examined the receipt from Tiffany's more closely. The date, December 15th, hit me like a punch to the gut. That was the same day he'd called to tell me he needed to temporarily reduce his child support payments. Found anything yet? Lily appeared in the doorway, her long dark hair pulled into a messy bun, looking so much like I did at 18 that it made my heart ache. Just some old papers, I said, sliding the receipts into my pocket. Why don't we try looking in the filing cabinet in the garage? She rolled her eyes good-naturedly. Mom, we looked there yesterday. Maybe we should just call Dad's doctor directly? Maybe. I forced a smile. Hey, remember when your father took you shopping for your birthday last month? You mean when he bought me that Target gift card? Lily grabbed an apple from the counter. Yeah, he said business was slow and he'd make it up to me later. The receipt for the Gucci loafers was dated 3 days after her birthday. My brother Ryan's words from last week suddenly took on new meaning. He'd mentioned seeing Ethan at Morton's Steakhouse, entertaining clients. Except Ethan had told me he'd given up his corporate job to focus on his struggling startup. Mom! Lily's voice pulled me back. You okay? You look weird. Just tired, sweetie. I squeezed her shoulder. Listen, I need to run some errands. Will you be okay here for a couple hours? After Lily went back upstairs, I spread the receipts across the kitchen island. Each one told a story, not just of money spent, but of lies told. The familiar anger I'd thought I'd dealt with years ago began to simmer again, but this time it was different. This wasn't about me anymore. This was about our daughter. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Ethan. By the way, can we talk about reducing the monthly payments again? Startup life, you know how it is. 带冷汗的笑. I picked up my phone and finally replied. Sure. Let's talk. How about dinner at La Maison tomorrow night? I hear their wine list is excellent. There was a long pause before those 3 dots appeared. That place is a bit out of my budget right now. Is it? I typed back, then deleted it. No, this needed more finesse. More planning. No problem, I sent instead. How about coffee at my place? We can discuss everything then. Everything indeed. I gathered the receipts and tucked them into my purse. The old Maddie might have confronted him immediately, letting anger drive her actions. But I'd learned a few things since our divorce. Sometimes the best revenge isn't served hot or cold. It's served strategically. First stop, my brother Ryan's house. If anyone would know how to handle this situation, it would be him. And I had a feeling I was going to need all the help I could get. Ryan's face darkened as he spread the receipts across his kitchen counter. That manipulative son of a... Language, I warned, glancing at his kids playing in the next room. I don't understand. How can he buy $1,000 shoes while telling Lily he can't help with her textbooks? My brother ran a hand through his salt and pepper hair. Because he's the same Ethan he's always been, Mads. Remember when he couldn't afford your anniversary dinner but bought himself that Rolex? The memory stung. I'd defended Ethan back then, believing his explanation about it being a business investment. Now I wondered how many other investments I'd blindly accepted. My phone chimed. Ethan. Coffee tomorrow at 10? Your place. He's coming over tomorrow, I told Ryan, showing him the text. Says he wants to discuss reducing payments again. Perfect timing. Ryan gathered the receipts into a neat pile. So what's the play here? Before I could answer, my phone rang. Lily's face lit up the screen. Hey sweetie, everything okay? Dad just called, she said, her voice tight. He asked if I could skip the campus housing and live at home instead. Says it would save money. My blood ran cold. The Tiffany receipt flashed through my mind. What did you tell him? That I'd think about it. She paused. Mom, is everything okay? You've been acting weird since this morning. I caught Ryan's eye. He shook his head slightly, a warning not to reveal too much too soon. Everything's fine, honey. We'll figure out the housing situation, I promise. After hanging up, I slumped against Ryan's counter. He's trying to sabotage her college plans while spending thousands on himself. Classic Ethan, Ryan muttered. Remember what Dad always said about people showing you who they are. The first time, shame on them. The second time, shame on you. I finished. Our father's wisdom had always been simple but sharp. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Emily, Ethan's sister. Hey, need to talk. It's about E. Can I stop by? I showed Ryan the message. Think she knows something? Emily's always had your back, even after the divorce. He handed me back my phone. Go. I'll start making some calls about Lily's housing situation. 20 minutes later, I sat across from Emily at a quiet corner table in Riverside Cafe. She looked nervous, fidgeting with her coffee cup. I overheard Ethan on the phone yesterday, she said finally. He was arguing with someone about payment terms. Something about doubling down to recover losses. My stomach dropped. Losses? I did some digging. She pulled out her phone, showing me a series of bank transfers from Ethan's account to something called GT Enterprises. These started right around when he began complaining about money. I stared at the numbers, each one larger than the last. What's GT Enterprises? That's what worries me. Emily leaned forward. I couldn't find any record of it as a legitimate business. The pieces were starting to fit together, but the picture they formed was worse than I'd imagined. This wasn't just about Ethan being selfish. There was something deeper, darker going on. My phone lit up with another text from Ethan. By the way, bringing some paperwork tomorrow. Time to discuss Lily's college plans. I showed Emily the message. Her face fell. Maddie, whatever you do, don't sign anything he brings. I won't. I straightened my spine, feeling a familiar resolve settling in. But I think it's time we found out exactly what my ex-husband is up to. Emily squeezed my hand. I'll help. But be careful. When Ethan feels cornered. I know. I did know. I'd seen it before in the final days of our marriage. But this time was different. This time it wasn't just about me, it was about Lily's future. As I drove home, my mind raced with possibilities. Tomorrow's coffee meeting suddenly felt less like a discussion and more like a chess match. Good thing I'd always been better at strategy than Ethan gave me credit for. First move, find out what GT Enterprises really was. And I knew just who to ask. I was halfway through my morning coffee when Sarah Chen's call changed everything. Sarah, my old college roommate who now worked at one of those trendy downtown marketing firms, wasn't one for casual chats. I saw Ethan last night, she said, her voice careful. At the Edison. The Edison was one of those exclusive rooftop restaurants where appetizers cost more than my weekly grocery bill. Business dinner? I asked, though I already knew better. Not exactly. Sarah paused. He was with investors, he said. But Maddie, he was throwing around money like it was nothing. Ordered 3 bottles of Dom Perignon for the table. My hand tightened around my coffee mug. When was this? Last night. Around 8. Another pause. The same night he told Lily he couldn't afford her dorm deposit. I set my mug down before I could break it. Did he see you? Yeah, we talked briefly. He seemed off. Kept checking his phone, really jumpy. Said something about a big deal coming through that would fix everything. The phrase sent a chill down my spine. It was exactly what he'd said before our divorce, right before I discovered he'd remortgaged our house without telling me. My doorbell rang, making me jump. Through the window, I saw Ethan's silver BMW in my driveway, 15 minutes early for our coffee meeting. Sarah, I have to go. But thank you. Maddie, wait, she hesitated. There's something else. He wasn't just with investors. There was this guy. Marcus something. I recognized him from the news. He was involved in that investment scandal last year, the one with all the lawsuits. The doorbell rang again. Send me whatever you can find on Marcus, I said quickly. I'll call you later. I opened the door to find Ethan in his standard power pose. Expensive suit, practiced smile, leather portfolio under his arm. The same look he'd worn when he told me our marriage was over. Mads! He breezed past me into the kitchen. Sorry I'm early. Traffic was lighter than expected. I watched him pour himself coffee in the mug he'd always used when we were married. Some habits die hard. You wanted to discuss payments? Among other things. He pulled out some papers. I've been thinking about Lily's college situation. I have a proposal that could work for everyone. As he talked, I studied him with new eyes. The designer watch that probably cost more than his claimed monthly income. The fresh haircut from that fancy salon downtown. The subtle shake in his hands as he spread the papers across my counter. It's really quite simple, he was saying. If Lily lives at home during college, we can use the housing money to invest in this amazing opportunity I've found. Marcus, a brilliant guy, you'd like him. He's put together this fund that's guaranteed to double our money in 6 months. There it was. I felt a strange calm settle over me, the kind that comes with absolute certainty. Guaranteed returns? Sounds too good to be true. That's because you don't understand the market. His smile tightened. Trust me, this is Lily's best option. All we need is to pull together some capital. If you could just sign these papers releasing her college fund. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah, Marcus Gregory. 3 pending fraud investigations. Known for running Ponzi schemes targeting divorced parents. Be careful. You know what's interesting? I kept my voice light as I picked up the papers. The Edison has really gone downhill lately. Sarah Chun was just telling me about their overpriced champagne. Ethan's face flickered, just for a moment. But it was enough. I should go, he said abruptly, gathering his things. Think about the proposal. Lily's future is at stake here. As I watched him drive away, I pulled out my phone and dialed Ryan's number. Hey, remember that friend of yours in the DA's office? I need a favor. What kind of favor? I looked down at the business card Ethan had left behind. GT Enterprises was printed in gold letters, with Marcus Gregory listed as CEO. The kind that requires a search warrant. 3 days of sleepless nights had left their mark. I caught my reflection in my office window, dark circles under my eyes, coffee cup number 4 trembling slightly in my hand. The email from Ryan's contact at the DA's office sat unopened in my inbox, its subject line taunting me. Marcus Gregory investigation. My phone lit up with Lily's face. Mom, did you know Dad's planning to sell Grandma's house? The coffee cup slipped from my hand, splashing across my desk calendar. What? He just called. Says since I'm not using the college fund anymore, he needs to liquidate assets or something. But that's your house now, right? My mother's house. The one place that had always been our safety net, left to me in her will. The home where Lily had learned to walk, where we'd fled after the divorce. The house Ethan's name was still on because I'd never gotten around to changing the deed. Don't worry about it, honey, I said, already grabbing my keys. I'll handle it. Emily was waiting outside my office, her face grave. I tried calling you. I know about the house, I cut in, heading for the elevator. It's worse than that. She followed me in. Marcus Gregory isn't just running a Ponzi scheme. He's targeting divorced parents specifically. Gets them to sign over assets, promising to double their money for their kids' education. The elevator felt too small suddenly. How do you know this? Because he tried it with me and Jack during our divorce last year. She pulled out her phone, showing me a news article. 3 families have already lost everything. The FBI's involved now. My hands were shaking as I read the headline. Investment scam targets divorced parents' assets, multiple families left homeless. The elevator doors opened to the parking garage. Ryan was waiting, looking grim. Got your message. Emily, fill you in. Some of it. I looked between them. What aren't you telling me? Emily and Ryan exchanged glances. Show her, Ryan said quietly. Emily pulled up a video on her phone. It was security footage from the Edison, showing Ethan with Marcus Gregory. But it was the third person at the table that made my blood run cold. Thomas Weber, my family law attorney. Weber's been working with them, Ryan explained, helping identify vulnerable targets through his divorce cases. The pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. Weber had handled my divorce, knew about my mother's house, knew about Lily's college fund. He'd even suggested I keep Ethan's name on the deed to avoid unnecessary complications. My phone buzzed, Ethan again. Need to meet ASAP. Weber has paperwork ready for the house sale. Great investment opportunity for Lily's future. I can't lose that house, I whispered. It's all we have left of Mom. It's Lily's home. You won't, Ryan said firmly. But we need to be smart about this. If we move too fast, they'll destroy the evidence. The FBI agent I spoke with, Emily added. She says they need someone on the inside. Someone they trust. I looked at the text from Ethan again, remembering how easily he'd always been able to charm people, to make them believe his lies. But he'd forgotten something important about me. I'd learned from the best. Tell your FBI contact I'm in, I said, straightening my spine. But we do this my way. No one messes with my daughter's future. Ryan touched my arm. Mads, are you sure? This could get ugly. I thought of my mother, how she'd fought to keep our home after Dad died. Thought of Lily, studying late into the night, dreaming of college. Thought of all the other families who'd lost everything to Ethan's schemes. It's already ugly, I replied, typing a response to Ethan. Let's meet. Bring Weber. I want to hear all about this investment opportunity. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about protecting what matters most, no matter the cost. And I was done playing defense. One more thing, Emily said as we headed to our cars. The FBI agent? She's bringing a wire. The private investigator's office smelled like stale coffee and printer ink. Detective Sarah Martinez spread photos across her desk like a dealer laying out cards, each one revealing another piece of Ethan's elaborate deception. Your ex-husband's been busy, she said, tapping one photo showing Ethan and Marcus Gregory entering a high-rise downtown. GT Enterprises isn't just a Ponzi scheme. They're using the properties they acquire as collateral for larger loans. My throat tightened as I picked up another photo. Ethan shaking hands with Weber outside the Edison. How many families? 12 so far. All divorced parents with college-aged kids. She slid over a document. This is the contract they've been using. Notice anything familiar? My hands trembled as I recognized the letterhead. Weber's law firm. The same contract template he'd used for our divorce settlement. My phone buzzed. Lily. Dad's being weird. Keeps asking about Grandma's house. Says we should honor her memory by making smart financial decisions. Before I could respond, another message came through from Ethan. Meeting set for tomorrow. Weber says he can fast-track the paperwork. This is happening, Mads. Detective Martinez watched me carefully. You understand what they're planning? Once you sign those papers, they'll use my mother's house as collateral, I finished. Then disappear with the money, leaving us with nothing. Exactly. And because Weber structured the original deed to keep both names, it would look completely legal. The room felt suddenly airless. They've done this before? She pulled out another file. Janet Cooper. Lost her family farm last month. Her ex-husband convinced her to invest it for their son's medical school. She paused. She's living in her car now. My phone lit up again, Emily this time. Marcus Gregory just left Ethan's office. Something's wrong. He looked angry. Detective Martinez leaned forward. We need more time to build the case. If you could stall the meeting. I can't. I showed her Ethan's latest text. Weber's drawing up final papers tonight. Tomorrow or the deal's off. Then we do it tomorrow. She pulled out a small device. Wear this. Get them talking about the other properties, about Weber's involvement. We need concrete evidence. I stared at the wire, remembering Lily's face when we'd first moved into my mother's house after the divorce. How she'd claimed the yellow bedroom overlooking the garden, saying it felt safe there. If this goes wrong, it won't. Detective Martinez's voice softened. But you need to be prepared. Ethan's desperate. The FBI's closing in on their operation, and Marcus Gregory isn't known for his patience. My phone buzzed one final time. A photo from Ryan, Ethan and Weber entering Marcus Gregory's office building. The timestamp read just now. One more thing, Detective Martinez said as I stood to leave. We've been tracking Gregory's patterns. When things go south, he doesn't just run. He makes sure to leave nothing behind. The implication hung heavy in the air. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was about survival, theirs and ours. Outside, the summer evening had turned stormy, matching my mood. I drove to my mother's house, our house, and sat in the driveway, watching lightning split the sky. Lily appeared at the front door, silhouetted against the warm light inside. Mom, you okay? I thought about Janet Cooper sleeping in her car. About all the other families who'd lost everything. About my mother who'd worked 3 jobs to keep this house, telling me on her deathbed, take care of your safe place, Maddie. Some things are worth fighting for. Tomorrow, I'd wear a wire and face down the men who thought they could take everything from us. But tonight, I needed to prepare Lily for what might come next. Come on, I said, getting out of the car. We need to talk. The thunder rolled overhead, nature's own warning of the storm to come. The wire itched against my skin as I sat across from Ethan, Weber, and Marcus Gregory in Weber's chroming-glass office. Outside, storm clouds gathered, casting shadows across their faces. Detective Martinez's words echoed in my head. Get them talking about the other properties. The paperwork's straightforward, Weber said, sliding documents across his mahogany desk. Just your signature, and GT Enterprises will handle everything. I picked up the pen, letting my hand shake slightly. Like you handled things for Janet Cooper? The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Marcus Gregory's smile didn't waver, but his eyes hardened. I'm not familiar with that name. Really? I turned to Ethan. What about the Williams family? Or the Petersons? All those other parents who lost everything. Ethan's facade cracked for a moment. Maddie, you're being paranoid. This is about Lily's future. Don't. My voice cut through the air. Don't you dare use our daughter to justify this. A phone buzzed Gregory's. His expression darkened as he read the message. He and Weber exchanged glances. Perhaps we should take a break, Weber suggested smoothly. Give Madison time to think. No breaks. Gregory's voice was steel. We finish this now. The wire felt like ice against my skin. Just a few more minutes, a few more admissions on tape. Tell me, Marcus, I said. When you take these properties as collateral, do you already have buyers lined up? Or do you wait until the families are homeless before selling? Gregory stood abruptly. This meeting is over. And Mrs. Harper? His smile was all teeth. You should be more careful about wearing recording devices. They tend to interfere with office equipment. My blood ran cold. He knew. Everything happened at once. Gregory nodded to someone behind me. 2 men in suits appeared at the door. Weber was already shredding documents. And Ethan just sat there looking lost. Your brother Ryan, Gregory said casually. He has 2 kids, right? Lovely house on Maple Street. The threat was clear. I reached for my phone, but one of the suits grabbed my arm. The wire's not the only evidence, I said, fighting to keep my voice steady. The FBI has everything. No, Gregory corrected. They have suspicions. Theories. But after today, he nodded to Weber. They'll have a signed confession from Madison Harper, admitting to attempting to defraud GT Enterprises. Your signature, your crime. The document Weber pushed forward wasn't the property transfer. It was a confession, carefully worded to make me the perpetrator. Sign it, Ethan finally spoke, his voice hollow. Please, Maddie. He knows about Lily's scholarship. About Ryan's business loans. About Emily's kids. My whole body felt numb. Detective Martinez was supposed to be monitoring, waiting for the signal. Where was she? 2 minutes, Gregory announced. Sign or I start making calls. Starting with your daughter's university. I thought of Janet Cooper living in her car. Of all the other families. Of my mother's house, our safe place. But I also thought of Lily's future, of Ryan's children, of Emily's family. The pen felt like lead in my hand. Outside, thunder cracked and the lights flickered. Time's up, Gregory said softly. Choose. I pressed the pen to paper, a tear falling onto the document. Then my phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Keep him talking. 30 seconds. But Gregory was already reaching for the confession. A wise choice. The office door burst open. But it wasn't Detective Martinez or the FBI. It was Emily holding a laptop. Sorry I'm late, brother dear. Been busy downloading files from your private server. Amazing what people share with their sister's IT company. Gregory's face contorted. Security. But Emily was already backing toward the door, the laptop clutched to her chest. Run, she mouthed at me. I didn't hesitate. As chaos erupted in the office, I bolted for the emergency stairs, Gregory's threats echoing behind me. But I'd seen his face when Emily mentioned the server. For the first time, he looked afraid. Now I just had to stay alive long enough for help to arrive. And pray that Emily made it out with those files. The stairwell door slammed behind me as footsteps thundered above. The game wasn't over, it was just changing rules. The parking garage was eerily quiet as I followed Emily's directions to her car. The laptop with Gregory's files felt like a ticking bomb in my hands. 3 floors up, I heard doors slam and voices echo. My phone vibrated, Detective Martinez. FBI en route. Do not engage. Get out now. Too late. Gregory's voice boomed across the garage. Emily, think carefully about what you're doing to your brother. Emily appeared from behind a concrete pillar, her face pale but determined. Funny, I was about to say the same thing to you, Ethan. Ethan emerged from the stairwell, looking haunted. Please. You don't understand. The gambling. I couldn't stop. Gregory said he could help. By stealing from other families? I clutched the laptop tighter. By threatening your own daughter's future? I can fix this, Ethan pleaded, taking a step forward. Marcus has a plan. Like he had a plan for Janet Cooper? Emily's voice cracked. I talked to her, Ethan. She lost everything. Her son had to drop out of medical school. Is that what you want for Lily? Footsteps thundered down the stairwell. Gregory appeared with his suited thugs, Weber trailing behind. Enough family therapy, Gregory snapped. The files, Emily. Now. Already uploaded to the cloud, Emily shot back. Along with proof of Ethan's gambling debts. How you used them to force him into your scheme. Ethan's head snapped up. What? Show her, Ethan, I said quietly. Show her the texts where Gregory threatened to expose your gambling unless you helped target divorced parents. Show her how he made you choose between your addiction and your daughter. Gregory's mask finally cracked. Shut up. Or what? My voice was steady now. You'll add me to your list of victims? Make me disappear like the others? Mom! My heart stopped. Lily stood at the garage entrance, Ryan beside her. Get her out of here, I shouted, but Gregory's men were already moving to block the exits. Perfect timing, Gregory smiled. The whole family together. Now about those files. Already sent to the FBI, Ryan called out. Along with Emily's evidence about the gambling operation you've been running through GT Enterprises. Gregory lunged for the laptop, but Emily was faster. She threw it to Ryan, who caught it one-handed. It's over, Marcus, Emily said. The FBI has everything. The gambling. The properties. The threats. Nothing's over, Gregory snarled, reaching into his jacket. Several things happened at once. Ethan shouted no, and tackled Gregory. The gun skittered across the concrete floor. And Lily, my brilliant, brave daughter, kicked it under a car. FBI, freeze! The garage filled with agents, Detective Martinez at the lead. As Gregory and his men were cuffed, Ethan remained on his knees, shoulders shaking. I'm sorry, he whispered. God, Maddie, Lily. I'm so sorry. Lily moved toward him but stopped short. How long? The gambling. Since before the divorce, Emily answered gently. Gregory found out, used it to force him into the scheme. But that doesn't excuse what he did. No, Lily agreed, her voice hard. It doesn't. As the FBI led Gregory and Weber away, Detective Martinez approached us. We'll need statements from everyone. And Mr. Turner. She paused. Given your cooperation at the end, we'll discuss options for rehabilitation. I watched Ethan being led away, remembering the man I'd once loved, the father Lily had once admired. Now all that remained were broken pieces and hard truths. Mom! Lily's hand slipped into mine. Can we go home? Home. To my mother's house, our house, still safe, still ours. Yeah, honey. I squeezed her hand. Let's go home. Emily caught my eye as we left, mouthing, thank you. For what? I wasn't sure. For helping expose the truth? For still caring about her brother despite everything? Maybe some questions don't need answers. Maybe sometimes justice and mercy look the same. The storm had passed, leaving behind a sky washed clean. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges, statements to give, damages to assess, wounds to heal. But tonight we were safe. Tonight we were together. And sometimes that's enough. 6 months later, I stood in my mother's kitchen, watching Lily pack the last of her dorm supplies. The morning sun streamed through windows that had witnessed 3 generations of our family's stories. Soon, they'd witness another chapter. Found this while cleaning out the attic, Ryan said, placing a dusty box on the counter. Mom's old papers. Inside, beneath faded receipts and photographs, lay an envelope with my name on it. My mother's handwriting, still sharp after all these years. Everything okay? Lily paused in her packing, watching me unfold the letter. Your grandmother, I smiled, always did have perfect timing. The letter was dated just weeks before she passed. Dearest Maddie, by the time you read this, you'll understand why I left you the house instead of selling it when times were tough. Some things are worth more than money, like having a safe place to land when the world stops making sense. You'll face choices that seem impossible. Trust your instincts. They're better than you think. Love. Mom. My phone buzzed, Emily. Ethan's doing better in rehab. Asked about Lily's move-in day. I showed Lily the message. She'd visited her father twice since his plea deal, each time returning with fewer answers but more understanding. I'm not ready, she said quietly. Not yet. That's okay. I squeezed her shoulder. Time's funny that way. It doesn't fix everything, but it helps you figure out what needs fixing. The doorbell rang. Janet Cooper stood on our porch, holding a casserole dish. Since testifying against Gregory, she'd become a regular visitor, helping other families rebuild after similar schemes. Thought you could use some fuel for moving day, she said, then noticed Lily's university sweatshirt. Hey, my son's starting there too. Medical school, second try. Really? Lily brightened. Which dorm? As they chatted, I noticed a familiar car slowing down across the street. Weber, out on bail pending trial. Our eyes met briefly before he drove away. Some people never learn, but at least they can't hurt anyone else. Detective Martinez called, Ryan mentioned, helping Janet unpack the casserole. Gregory's facing 20 years minimum. His assets are being liquidated to repay the families. Good, I said, but the word felt hollow. Justice wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about restoration. About helping people rebuild. Mom! Lily called from the living room. Look what I found in Grandma's box. She held up an old photo, me at her age, standing proud in front of this very house. On the back, my mother had written, Maddie's Fresh Start, 1999. Guess we both got our fresh starts here, Lily smiled. The moving truck pulled up outside. Ryan and Janet started carrying boxes while Lily did one last room check. I stood in the kitchen, reading my mother's letter again. My phone lit up with another message, Ethan. Tell her I'm proud. When she's ready, I'll be here. Doing the work. Being better. I didn't respond. Some messages don't need answers. Some healing happens in silence. Ready. Lily appeared with her last bag. Almost. I pulled out a small box I'd been saving. Inside was a key on a silver chain, not to the house, but to something more important. Your grandmother gave me this when I went to college, I explained, fastening it around her neck. Said it wasn't for any door, but for remembering you always have a home to come back to. Lily touched the key, understanding flickering in her eyes. Even when the door's different than we expected? Especially then. As we loaded the last box, I looked back at the house, our safe harbor through storms we never saw coming. My mother was right. Some things are worth more than money. Some victories aren't about winning, but about knowing when to let go and when to hold on. Let's go, I said, taking Lily's hand. Time to write your own story. The morning sun caught the key around her neck, throwing light in all directions. Like hope, I thought. Like new beginnings. Like home.